So you downloaded update 1.4, logged in, tried out your favorite weapon, and responded by yelling, "What the f***?" This video will cover all of the sweeping changes to the weapon meta for update 1.4 in the Division. What's going on, guys? It's LtBuzzLitebeer back with another The Division video, and I know the question on all of you agents' minds: what the hell happened to the weapons and damage output? Massive has completely reworked the DPS calculator for update 1.4, and in my mind completely broke the calculations and theorems for calculating DPS, but I will not be getting into that in this video. However, it is important to know a little bit about the weapon damage changes before we get into the individual weapon buffs and nerfs. First off, the DPS calculation has been reworked so that it no longer takes into account accuracy, headshot damage, reload speed, magazine size, or individual weapon type damages like LMGs, additional damage to targets out of cover, or assault rifles enemy armor damage. The entire DPS calculation is now based on base weapon damage, critical hit chance, crit hit damage, and RPM. The theorem created by Massive just somehow combines these four numbers and divides by 60 to arrive at a weapon DPS calculation. I could easily go into more details about this change and how extremely flawed it is at its core, but let's leave that for another rainy day. Further changes have been made to your weapon mods, which now have one major bonus and an amount of smaller bonuses depending on the quality of the mod. Some stats on weapon mods have been merged, so things like horizontal stability and initial bullet stability are now grouped under a general heading of stability, making it a lot less confusing. And the final piece of weapon info change is that damage bonuses are now additive instead of multiplicative, meaning your DPS calculations will now be lower than before due to the method of stacking the damage bonuses. Like I said, I can get into all of these DPS calculations, how they are flawed, and all of the other weapon mods changes in a future video. What I would like to concentrate on today is the sweeping changes to the differing weapon archetypes, starting off with the assault rifles. As a whole, the assault rifles were left mostly alone save the G36, which received a 5% damage decrease. Overall, this is such a small decrease that it's really nothing to complain about, as the G36, even after its last nerf, was still a little bit stronger than other ARs. SMGs received a massive nerf across the board, as it looks like Massive is doing its best to push agents away from exclusively running with an SMG build. All SMG crit hit damage bonuses were reduced from 47% max to 38% max, along with individual nerfs to all weapons in this classification. Check the on-screen visual for your specific SMG to see just how much it was changed, but I will point out that most SMGs base damage was nerfed in the 9 to 13% range, with the heaviest change coming to the MP7, which was whacked a whopping 27.6%. SMGs have been a player base favorite ever since launch, and based on these changes, it is clear that Massive is doing its best to change the loadouts of most agents. Next up are the shotguns, of which I will not post a chart on the screen due to the fact that as a whole, all shotguns with a gear score of 229 have had their base damage stats reduced overall by 30%. The only shotgun to escape the nerf hammer is the unique Showstopper, which has received a base damage increase of 20%. Marksman rifles have been the secondary weapon of choice since launch, and as a whole they were also hit hard with damage reductions for several popular models, as well as damage increases for some underpowered models. Firstly, the most popular DMR in the game, the M1A, has received a base damage decrease of 35%. Having its base damage cut by a third is a massive change and will force players to explore other marksman rifle options. In addition, the SVD also received a damage reduction of 3.7%, which I feel was not necessary, as its strength was never overall damage but more so stability. In addition, the Scar H, SRS, and M44 received damage increases, which you can see on the on-screen visual. DPS calculations for the marksman rifle classification will look extremely low in comparison to pre-update 1.4, as the newly introduced DPS calculator no longer takes into account headshot damage. Pistols received a few tweaks, with the X45 being brought back down to earth as it was extremely strong in comparison to other weapons in this classification. The two weapon buffs included the M9 by 10% and PX4 by 25%. The X45 was nerfed by 40%, which is the single greatest damage reduction of any weapon in Update 1.4. Finally, the LMG classification did receive some interesting nerfs and buffs, as overall the damage bonus to targets out of cover has been reduced from 28% max to 19% max on all LMGs. Both the M60 and M249 received damage increases, while the RPK remained unchanged. The L86 was the only LMG to suffer a nerf, and it came in the form of a 7.4% reduction to base damage. So there you go, all the weapon changes broken down class by class. I would like to hear what you thought about Massive's much anticipated Update 1.4. Feel free to sound off in the comment section below. In addition, if you could take the time to rate the video with either a thumbs up or down, it would be greatly appreciated. If you want some more LtBuzzLitebeer and my Division content in your life, follow me on Twitter at LtBuzzLitebeer. I am very proud about all of the work I've put into my entire The Division Weapon Review playlist, and it really is the most comprehensive and accurate Division Weapon Review playlist on YouTube. So, if there is any weapon in the Division you have questions about, look no further than my reviews to answer any and all of your questions. And remember, for my channel, likes, comments, subs are loved. Until my next The Division video, this has been LtBuzzLitebeer saying peace out.